Hello YouTube, Mike Kohanam here. Gladiator Beasts are by far my favorite theme in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, and it's one of my favorite themes to use in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I used Gladiator Beasts back when I qualified for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game World Championship in 2009, and used a Gladiator Beast deck when I competed in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game World Championship in Tokyo in 2009. For that reason, I'm determined to make a variety of Gladiator Beast decks work in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. You may have seen my recent video where I built a pure Gladiator Beast deck that I used to rank up, and this month I decided to try something different with Gladiator Beasts. For this season's Master Duel ranked play, I used a Tri-Brigade Gladiator Beast deck, which I call a Forest Friends Gladiator Beast deck, because it uses 3 copies of Rescue Cat and 3 copies of Rescue Rabbit, all of which are available in the Forest Friends pack. Both of these cards are extremely high impact when you manage to resolve their effects, and snowball into a field full of monsters that will either lock down your opponent or help you defeat your opponent in one turn. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the synergies between the Tri-Brigade monsters and the Gladiator Beast monsters, and how the Tri-Brigade monsters help to support the Gladiator theme in this deck. I do consider this deck to be primarily a Gladiator Beast deck, with the Tri-Brigade monsters as supporting monsters. So I'm going to talk about the combos and how the two themes interact, as well as the plays you can make with Rescue Rabbit and Rescue Cat that help to strengthen the deck even further. I will not discuss the pure Gladiator Beast combos, the combos that a Gladiator Beast deck can make without the Tri-Brigade monsters in this video. I already made a video for that, which I will link down in the description. I will also include in the description the deck list that I used at the end of, toward the end of my run to Platinum 1. I constantly changed the deck as I played it and saw what worked and what didn't, so this is the final version, which I used in the final stretch from Platinum 2 to Platinum 1. If you're looking to build a deck that isn't on anyone's tier list, is a fun deck to play, and that can make it to the highest rank in PvP dueling on Master Duel, Platinum 1, I do recommend this deck. I started using this deck at Platinum 5, and then committed to only using this deck until I hit Platinum 1. So I proved to myself that this deck is capable of making it to the top rank. And if you know how to use the deck and understand the strategies in the deck, you should be able to make it to the top rank with this deck as well. The core combo in any Tri-Brigade deck involves using the effect of Tri-Brigade Fraktall on your first turn to send it from your hand to your graveyard and send Tri-Brigade Kitt to the graveyard. Then use Kitt's effect, which activates if it's sent to the graveyard, to send Tri-Brigade Nervall to the graveyard. If Nervall's sent to the graveyard, its effect will activate, allowing you to add a Tri-Brigade monster from your deck to your hand, which means you can add Tri-Brigade Kerass or a different Tri-Brigade monster from your deck to your hand. What this does is it fills your graveyard with 1 Beast Warrior, 1 Beast, and 1 Winged Beast monster, all while replacing the Fraktall that was in your initial hand with another Tri-Brigade monster in your deck. The reason this is important is because of the Tri-Brigade monsters' effects. Each of the Tri-Brigade monsters in the deck, those being Fraktall, Kitt, Nervall, and Kerass, has an effect that can be used once per turn. This effect lets you banish any number of Beast, Winged Beast, or Beast Warrior monsters from your graveyard to special summon a Link monster from your extra deck who is also a Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast, and whose Link is equal to the number of monsters you banished. Using this effect makes it very easy to special summon strong monsters from your extra deck, like Tri-Brigade Shureg, the Ominous Omen, which can banish any card on the field when it's summoned without even targeting that card. Ancient Warrior's Oath, Dragon Lords, which normally you can only link summon by using a Wind Ancient Warriors monster as a link material, but the Tri-Brigade monsters can bypass that requirement with their effect. Or, probably the most powerful and most important Link monster in the extra deck for this deck, Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty. You can also use this effect to link summon stuff like Test Panther, since it's a beast, Cross Sheep, since it's a beast, and Tri-Brigade Fraktall, since it is a beast as well, but that won't come up quite as often with this deck. So here's where one of the first big synergies comes in between the Tri-Brigade monsters and the Gladiator Beast monsters. When you use the effect of a Tri-Brigade monster to special summon a Link monster from your extra deck by banishing monsters from your graveyard, you're then locked into only using Beast, Beast Warrior, and Winged Beast monsters as Link materials for the rest of the turn. As luck would have it, all of the Gladiator Beast monsters in the main deck are, in fact, Beast Warrior, Beast, and Winged Beast Gladiator Beasts. So the drawback or the restriction on the Tri-Brigade monsters that limits you to certain types of monsters has no effect on your ability to link summon with this deck for the most part. Obviously, if you subsequently want to link summon with something like Maxx, which is an insect, or Ash Blossom and Joyous, which is a tuner, the Tri-Brigade monsters can stop you from doing that, but you will almost never have the desire to do that, so you will rarely even acknowledge the drawback of being limited in the monsters you can use to link summon after using the effects of your Tri-Brigade monsters. One of the other great synergies with the Tri-Brigade monsters and the Gladiator Beast monsters is the ability for both themes to effectively use Rescue Cat. Rescue Cat is one of my favorite cards from back in the day. I used it when I qualified for Worlds. I used it when I went to Worlds in 2009. So I really wanted to fit it into this deck, and I did. It might be a little greedy that I'm playing 3 copies of Rescue Cat and 3 copies of Rescue Rabbit in here, but each of them is such a high impact card, they really are incredible to draw, summon, and resolve. The use of Rescue Rabbit doesn't really need any explanation, since it works in this deck the exact same way it worked in the Pure Gladiator Beast deck that I previously posted a video about. Rescue Cat, on the other hand, has a couple of different applications. So normally Gladiator Beast duelists back in the day used to use its effect to summon Samnite and Test Tiger. Rescue Cat has had its effect changed, so it now negates the effects of the monsters it summons. So it needs to be used a little differently. In this deck, I use Rescue Cat to summon Gladiator Beast Samnite, which I run 1 copy of, along with Tri-Brigade Kitt, which is also a beast. You could also summon Kerass, which is a beast, a level 2 beast, using Rescue Cat's effect. However, if Kitt is in the deck, it's usually the better choice, because you're usually going to eventually want the Kerass in your hand. Once you use Rescue Cat to summon Samnite and Kitt, you can then link them together into a Link 2 monster. And then you have a lot of really cool options. You can summon Test Panther, because it only requires 1 Gladiator Beast monster plus any other monster to link summon it. It does not require 2 Gladiator Beasts. You can summon Cross Sheep, which if you're using it as your starter, you probably are not going to do. Or you can summon Tri-Brigade Fraktall, the Baron Blossom, which depending on your hand, could be a cool effect to use because it lets you special summon a monster from your hand. Note that even though Rescue Rabbit cannot be special summoned from the deck, you actually can special summon it from your hand with the effect of Fraktall. So if you have Rescue Cat and Rescue Rabbit in your hand, you can actually use the Rescue Cat to get Samnite and Kitt, link them away for Fraktall, and then use Farragut's effect to special summon Rescue Rabbit, which is really cool. Alternatively, if you made Farragut, you can use its effect to special summon a Winged Beast from your hand so that you can link summon Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty, which I'll talk about again later. All the while, by using Kitt in a link summon, you'll be able to use its effect to send Tri-Brigade Nervall to the graveyard, and then use Nervall's effect to add a Tri-Brigade monster from your deck to your hand. That'll let you get Tri-Brigade Kerass, which you can then special summon from your hand by discarding a Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster. Note that you don't have to discard a Tri-Brigade monster, so you can discard one of the Gladiator beasts in the deck to summon Kerass as well, which helps you extend your field, since you can then use its effect to add link monsters to your field. So that's one of the cool things about Rescue Cat. I'm using one copy of Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds in this deck, as well as part of a package to go with Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty. Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty is so incredible. It was recently forbidden in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, but it is still allowed in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and it is in this deck because of that, because it is still allowed. So while you can link summon Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty, like I mentioned before, by using 2 or more monsters, including a Winged Beast monster, which this deck does have plenty of, it's even easier to summon Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty with the effect of a Tri-Brigade monster, since it's a Winged Beast. Just by banishing 3 monsters, Beast Warrior, Winged Beast monsters from your graveyard, with the effect of either Fraktall, Kitt, Nervall, or Kerass, you can actually special summon Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty straight from your extra deck. Simorgh's effect lets you special summon a wind monster from your deck, hand or deck during each end phase. So that includes your opponent's end phase as well. Generally, if it's your first turn in the duel, you're going to use Simorgh's effect to special summon Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. While this is on the field, players can only special summon wind monsters. So this shuts down most opponents' abilities to special summon monsters. Plus, Simorgh's effect makes it so that while it's pointing to a winged beast monster, your opponent cannot target that winged beast monster. Your opponent, incidentally, can also not target your Simorgh, but it's going to protect your Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds from targeting effects, making it even harder for your opponent to play through. As you'll see later on in some of the duel replays, ideally, you're going to want to summon Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty as your first link monster, so you can put it in your extra monster zone, which will later allow you to special summon the Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds with the Simorgh pointing to that barrier. This is generally very easy to do because of how easy it is to summon Tri-Brigade Kerass to the field with 3 or more Beast, Winged Beast, or Beast Warrior monsters in your graveyard. Now, while it's hard enough for an opponent to take down Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty with a Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds behind it, it's even harder when you also summon Gladiator Beast Domitianus to your field. Normally, the way your opponent is going to try to take down the Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds is by attacking over it, because it only has 1,000 attack and defense. If that's how your opponent's going to answer the monster, that's still not bad for you, because it's basically making them do all of their plays in main phase 2, because they weren't allowed to special summon in their first main phase until they attacked and destroyed your Barrier Statue. If you have Domitianus on your field, however, it's going to be virtually impossible for your opponent to destroy your Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds in battle, because Domitianus allows you to redirect your opponent's attacks. Anytime they would try to attack your Barrier of the Stormwinds, you can redirect that attack to your Gladiator Beast Domitianus, which has 3,500 attack points. This lock of having a Simorgh pointing to the Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, as well as a Gladiator Beast Domitianus on the field, is actually not as hard to perform as you might expect. Just beware. I go for this lock many times successfully. I have, on occasion, been completely blown out by Raigeki. So watch out for Raigeki, because this combo does not have any protection against spell and trap cards. Mostly spell cards, because actually if it's going to be, your opponent's going to set trap cards, Often on your next turn, you can use Tamer Editor's effect to summon Heraklinos, so you have negation for those trap cards. But you will get blown out by Raigeki many games. Lightning Storm is not as much of a blowout, and you can play through because it won't destroy your defense position Tamer Editor, and likely won't destroy your defense position Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. But just beware of that. That said, many decks don't even use Raigeki, and many decks don't have a single answer to the combo of Simorgh pointing to Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, with Domitianus being able to negate a monster effect, as well as redirect your opponent's attacks. Before I get into the duel replays from my climb up the ranked ladder, I'm just going to go over the cards in the deck, so that you can understand what I'm playing, what I'm not playing, and why I made those choices. First, I'll discuss what I am playing. Gladiator Beast Andal is there for the same reasons that it was in the pure Gladiator Beast deck that I also had built. You can summon it with Rescue Rabbit and Unexpected Dai, and that helps you start to combo off so that you can spam Tamer Editor and link summon your way to a Simorgh. I already discussed the Tri-Brigade monsters and why they're in the deck, how they interact, and what they do, but I think it does require some sort of explanation as to my thought process about why I'm running the numbers of each that I am. I know most players run 3 copies of Fraktall, because that's your starter to get the combo going, and is probably the most important one to draw, because it's the one you want to draw the most. I initially did run 3 as I kept playing the deck, making revisions to it. I cut it down to 2, and I'm now confident that 2 is the better number to run here. For a couple of reasons. One, while it is a card you do want to draw, and very importantly do want to draw to get a lot of your combos off, it's not the be-all end-all. You can do things without it as well. If you hard draw Kerass, you can special summon it, and you can usually still do most, if not all, of the combos you would otherwise want to do. Secondly, if you draw the Fraktall along with the Kerass, or while you don't have Nervall in your deck, or you don't have Kitt in your deck, it's not quite as powerful as it otherwise would be. Third, it's also searchable by Fire Formation Tenki, which I also use 2 copies of, and I'll discuss why I'm using 2 instead of 3 copies of that later as well. So I am running 2 copies of Fraktall. Similarly, I'm using 2 copies of Kitt, mainly because I want to be sure that it's in the deck if I use the effect of Rescue Cat. Ideally, I want Samnite in the deck with either Kitt, one of the 2 Kitts, or Kerass. Obviously, the Kitt is better because effect can be used when it's sent to the graveyard to send Nervall to the graveyard, so you get Nervall's effect. But in a pinch, if you have to, you can special summon Samnite and Kerass, because you drew both Kitt, unfortunately. And you can still make Test Panther and make some great plays. Just beware, if you link summon Test Panther using Samnite and another non-Gladiator Beast monster, and use Test Panther's effect to add Gladiator Beast comeback to your hand, you can actually use the comeback to bring the Samnite back to your field, because it shares a type with Test Panther. Test Panther and Samnite are both beasts. That makes it so that from a pure Gladiator Beast deck perspective, Rescue Rabbit is stronger than Rescue Cat, because you can then use the comeback to bring back Andal if you were to link together 2 Andals for the Test Panther and search for comeback. That said, this deck generally has no problem getting other Gladiator Beast monsters into the graveyard to special summon with comeback, and in a pinch, you can even use comeback to special summon a Gladiator Beast monster from your hand. Often after the Rescue Cat effect resolves, you'll link away the Kitt and Samnite for Test Panther, use Kitt to send Nervall to the grave, Nervall to send to search for Kerass, and then you can special summon Kerass by discarding one of your Gladiator Beast monsters in your hand, like Attorix, Equeste, Darius, or Bestiari. That'll let you use Gladiator Beast's Comeback to special summon it to the field without losing the card from your hand that you would otherwise lose if you were using Gladiator Beast's Comeback to special summon a monster from your hand. So the 2 copies of Kitt are essential to make the Rescue Cat engine work. I'm running 2 copies of Nervall because I have the 2 copies of Kitt. Ideally, you want to use Nervall's effect Kitt's effect to send Nervall to the graveyard so that you can resolve its effect and get an extra card in your hand. And then I only use 1 copy of Kerass because this deck often tries to build an insurmountable field, and once it's ahead, keep the lead and win. Kerass is a huge part of doing that, so 1 copy should be enough. In my duels, I have never found myself wanting a 2nd copy of Kerass. I'm using 3 copies of Maxx, 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 2 copies of Nibiru, and 2 copies of Called by the Grave. In this deck, those are just generically powerful cards that are great support. You can't reliably go first in Master Duel. It's always a coin flip. Maxx, Ash Blossom, and Nibiru are phenomenal cards for when you have to go second. Nibiru I especially like in this deck because it has so many easy ways to get rid of the Nibiru token if you give it to your opponent. Those ways being the effect of Gladiator Beast Gyzarus, as well as the effect of Tri-Brigade Nervall. And the 2 copies of Called by the Grave are for pushing through your combos when you go first to make sure you're not stopped by cards like Ash Blossom and Maxx. Finally, for the main deck, I'm using 2 copies of Fire Formation Tenki. I originally ran 3. As I played the deck, cut it down to 2. Tenki seems incredibly powerful at first because it can get so many monsters from the deck. In addition to getting Fraktall to get your Tri-Brigade combos going, which I mentioned earlier, you can also use its effect to search for either Gladiator Beast Darius or Gladiator Beast Attorix, which if you need a Gladiator Beast monster, comes in handy. And also, this helps you perform your combos involving Test Panther, so that if you can special summon Augustus from your deck and need Attorix in your hand to make Tamer Editor, the Tenki will get you there. So Tenki almost fills in as a wild card in a lot of your combos, making it extremely powerful. The reason I run 2 instead of 3, however, is because of that clause on the card that says you can only activate 1 Fire Formation Tenki per turn. When I ran 3, I kept drawing multiple copies, and I don't think that this deck can afford to draw multiple copies of card that it can only play 1 of in a turn. Because if it does, it may not have strong enough footing on the next turn to turn the duel around. So for that reason, I am running 2 copies of Tenki. Somehow I still managed to draw both copies in the same hand, but I think 2 copies of Tenki is enough here. You'll also notice that I'm running 43 cards in the main deck. I hate running 43 cards. I like running 40 card decks. But this is kind of just how the deck developed. I like running as close to 40 as possible. I don't hate it as much for this deck because there are so many cards you do want in your deck when you use the effects of other cards. Namely, Rescue Cat requires you to have certain monsters in the deck when you use it, and Rescue Rabbit requires you to have certain monsters in the deck when you use it. So I'm kind of okay going over 40 cards in this deck. But I brought it to 43, and it's been working for me. So I really agonized over what else I can cut from this deck to try to bring it closer to 40. I actually did have it down to 41 without Nibirus in it, but ultimately added the Nibirus, which I think helped the deck a lot and improved my win rates by making it a lot easier to win if I were going second, by giving me more cards to draw in my opening hand that can stop my opponent from building an incredible field on their first turn. The Gladiator Beast lineup in the extra deck is similar to the one in my pure Gladiator Beast deck. Again, the link is in the video. The link to the video will be in the description to this video. The combos are the same, so the lineup's the same. One of the major differences is that I did have to cut a copy of Tamer Editor because extra deck space is so tight with the added Tri-Brigade package. So that's really the big thing. I did contemplate cutting one Domitianus as well to make room for a Link Spider. Ultimately, I kept the second Domitianus because Link Spider came up as useful once in a while when I didn't have it, but generally you don't need it because more often than not you can discard a Gladiator Beast with the effect of Kerass to special summon it with comeback, or you just have a Gladiator Beast in the graveyard to special summon comeback already. So it's the Tri-Brigade engine makes the Link Spider a little less important, but it is certainly something that I considered and will continue to consider using in the extra deck. The Link monsters in the extra deck I've already discussed. These should come as no surprise. Test Panther is crucial for any Gladiator Beast deck. Cross Sheep helps you extend your combos. Ancient Warrior's Oath Double Dragon Lords is really good for protecting your plays. It can disrupt your opponent during your opponent's turn, and you can even use its effect to return a card to your opponent's hand during their turn by sending a card from your hand or field to the graveyard, which can include a Fire Formation Tenki, whose really useful effect you've already depleted by adding a Beast Warrior to your hand. I don't think I mentioned Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess yet. This is here for the same reason it was in the Gladiator Beast deck. It's a Link 4 monster that you can Link Summon to pin down your opponent's plays and create a lock on the duel. Appaloosa is a fairy monster, so you can't summon it with the effect of the Tri-Brigade monsters. However, using the effects of Tri-Brigade monsters will not lock you out of summoning a fairy-type Link monster. It will only force you to use Beast Warrior, and Winged Beast monsters as Link materials. So it won't stop you from summoning Appaloosa, which is great for the deck. With all that said, I'll move on to the duels that I encountered on my climb up the PvP ladder. I'll go through the combos that I do in those replays, and hopefully it is helpful for understanding how the deck works. If you enjoy this video and videos like it, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you do, it tells me that people are watching it, people are enjoying it, and it is very strong encouragement to me to make more videos. Generally, with this deck, I choose to go, or forget generally, always, I choose to go first if given the option, but it's not the end of the world if you go second. In this game, my opponent had a horrible start. He just used Upstart Goblin and passed, and my hand's incredible. So you'll see everything I'm able to do with it. I start with Fraktall. Fraktall's effect sends Kitt to the grave, Kitt's effect sends Nervall to the graveyard, and Nervall's effect adds Kerass to my hand, which is fairly standard. I use Unexpected Dai to extend an Andal onto the field, and then Rescue Rabbit to special summon 2 more Andals. I link 2 of them away for Test Panther, and then I can use Panther's effect to add comeback to my hand. With Andal already on the field, I'm able to use Panther's effect to special summon Augustus from the deck, and Augustus' effect to special summon another Augustus. I fuse them for Tamer Editor, and my opponent activates the effect of Nibiru to tribute all of my monsters. Unfortunately for him, it is not nearly good enough for the hand I got. I do get to draw 2 cards off of Nibiru, thanks to Nibiru being summoned and the token being summoned. But I use Comeback to summon Tamer Editor back to the field, use its effect to special summon Gyzarus to my field to destroy his Nibiru, and then I use Kerass' effect by discarding Darius from my hand. My opponent concedes when he sees the Kerass, but had he not conceded, I'd be able to then use Kerass' effect to banish 3 or 4 monsters from my graveyard and either summon Simorg or Shureg, defeating my opponent either way. this hand will let me make one of the plays I was talking about earlier, where I can actually use Ferrigit's effect to special summon Rabbit from my hand. Since Samnite is in my hand, I can't get it from my deck with Rescue Cat's effect, so I end up getting 2 Kitts and linking them together for Ferrigit. Kitt's effect will still activate to send Nervall to the graveyard, and Nervall still gets me Kerass, which gives me a nice extender. Ferrigit's effect, special summon Rescue Rabbit from my hand, and then Rabbit's effect, special summon 2 Andals. I then special summon Kerass from my hand, and then link summon into Test Panther. I activate its effect along with the effect of Ferrigit, which, if it's sent to the graveyard, allows you to draw a card and then get rid of a card from your hand back to the deck. My opponent does Effect Veiler the Test Panther's effect, but that's not going to stop me from making a pretty awesome field. I use Kerass's effect to special summon Simorgh, and then link away the rest of my monsters for Appaloosa, which has a total of 3 monster effect negations. In the end phase, I special summon the Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, so at the moment my opponent can only special summon wind monsters, and I can negate 3 monster effects. He can obviously attack the Barrier Statue because I don't have the Domitianus out, and that is what he does, but without a phenomenal follow-up play, he's going to be in trouble. So he does summon, I use Maxx to help draw cards, and his monster effects are still locked down. But in his end phase, I actually get to special summon another wind monster from my deck with Simorgh's effect, and I get Gladiator's Bestiari. I then confuse it with the Samnite I summon on my next turn to summon Gyzarus, and that already finishes him off. Don't forget about the effect of Simorgh in your opponent's end phase as well, because it can be really helpful for either setting up a Gyzarus play by getting Bestiari, or just setting up a tag out by special summoning Equeste. So I get another incredible hand in this game. I use Fire Formation Tenki, and my opponent chains Maxx at a suboptimal time. Nevertheless, I chain Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring to shut down the Maxx for the turn, so I'm free to make the incredible plays that I am able to make with this hand. I search for Fraktall, I use its effect, send Kitt to the graveyard, Kitt's effect sends Nervall, and then Nervall's effect lets me add Kerass to my hand. I normal summon Rescue Rabbit, then link summon into Test Panther. I think my sequencing in this duel was a little suboptimal. I could have special summoned the Kerass earlier to get the Simorgh in the extra monster zone, so that's pointing to the Barrier Statue. So I think that's something I could have done a little better. But this was still a really crazy duel, and it's definitely worth a watch. So you can see from here, I make Tamer Editor after using Panther's effect, special summon Domitianus, use Kerass's effect to special summon Simorgh, and then link summon Appaloosa. So now I can negate 4 monster effects, and my opponent can't special summon except wind monsters, and I can redirect their attacks, and my opponent has Raigeki to destroy my entire field. So that's the Raigeki I was warning you about earlier. Really powerful sometimes. And I saw that I had the win on the record replay screen, and I kind of wondered myself after that Raigeki how I won this game. But we are about to find out. Because currently I have 0 cards in my hand and 0 cards on my field. So my opponent summons Bearbra, Maxx, Code Talker, and Kitt, and drops me down to 1,000 life points. So the heart of the cards really need to guide me here. and they give me Tri-Brigade Kitt, which may not look impressive, but is actually quite good. I use it to special summon Shureg, then link away Kitt and Shureg to special summon Farragut. And then I can actually use Shureg's effect to add a Beast Warrior from my deck to my hand, whose level is less than or equal to number of banished Beast Warriors. So here's where it's pretty cool. I get Rescue Rabbit. And once again, I'm making the awesome play of summoning it from my hand with the effect of Farragut. I also get a Fraktall to my hand, thanks to the Kitt sending Nervall to the graveyard when it was used in the Link Summon. Rabbit gets 2 Andals. I Link Summon Test Panther. Panther's effect activates. Farragut's effect activates in chain. Farragut lets me draw a card, send one to the bottom. I drew Augustus, and I search for Gladiator Beast's Comeback. Pretty good draw. I use Test Panther to trade in for Equeste, which then lets me special summon the Tamer Editor from my graveyard. Tamer Editor special summons Domitianus. I then link summon using the Panther and Tamer Editor to summon Cross Sheep. I special summon Tamer Editor with Comeback, linked to Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep's effect activates to special summon Andal. Tamer Editor special summons Gyzarus to clear his field, and just like that, I turn 0 cards in hand into a field of 6 monsters and 1. Moving on to the next duel. I use Fraktall's effect to send Kitt to the grave. Kitt sends Nervall. Nervall gets Kerass. I then special summon Kerass from my hand by discarding the Andal. And this is what I was talking about before about the sequencing mattering. By using Kerass's effect now, I can put Samorg in the extra monster zone so that I can link the barrier statue to it. But from there, I do normal summon the Rescue Rabbit, get 2 Andals, search for Test Panther, and then use Comeback to special summon Andal back to the field. Tenki gets Darius, because I've already used Fraktall's effect. Test Panther's effect summons Augustus. Augustus summons Augustus. Augustus's second Augustus summons Darius. I make Tamer Editor, then I special summon Domitianus with the effect of Tamer Editor, and finally link summon Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. So I now have 3 monster effect negations through Appaloosa, 1 through Domitianus, and I have the Samorg on the field protecting the barrier statue linked to it, so my opponent can't special summon, and Domitianus redirecting his attacks so that he can't attack the barrier statue. This hand does not have Rescue Cat or Rescue Rabbit, but it's still pretty powerful. It also has Kerass in the opening hand, which is really not what you want. So this is far from an ideal hand, but it's strong nevertheless. So I use Tenki to get Fraktall. Fraktall dumps Kitt. Kitt dumps Nervall. I search for Kitt. I special summon Kerass by discarding the extra Kitt, and I special summon Samorg with Kerass's effect, leaving it able to special summon a barrier statue linked to it. I then link summon Test Panther, use its effect to come back at the Darius. Had he not had Nibiru here, I would have been able to actually make Tamer Editor by using the Panther's effect to send back the Darius and summon Augustus. But since he did have Nibiru, it looks like a pretty big blowout. Where my 300 defense points isn't even enough to stand up to Halka 5 racks. I fortunately do have the Ash Blossom Joyous Spring to stop the Halka Vibrax from special summoning a tuner from the deck. And my opponent doesn't have much of a follow-up to that, but with just an Augustus in my hand, I have to trust in the heart of the cards, and now I draw my high-impact Rescue Rabbit. The Rescue Rabbit alone is incredible. I discussed, especially in my previous video, for my pure Gladiator Beast deck, how powerful Rescue Rabbit can be. I use it to summon 2 Andals, link into Test Panther, search for comeback, Panther's effect, special summon Augustus, effect, special summon the Augustus from my hand. I can then summon Tamer Editor. Tamer Editor's effect will special summon Domitianus, who can negate the effect of the newly summoned Coral Dragon when it tries to draw a card, and play passes to my opponent after the end of my battle phase. And on my opponent's turn, Domitianus once again has an effect negation. My opponent just sets 1 and passes, all while I have Tamer Editor still face up on the field. I draw Rescue Cat, which is once again high impact, but certainly not needed, although it is welcome here. So I just use Tamer Editor to summon Gyzarus, and my opponent concedes. This hand starts with Rescue Cat, which is nice, and starts with Called by the Grave to back up a Rescue Cat play, which is even nicer. So I get Kitt and Samnite, as I normally do, with Rescue Cat's effect, link summon the Panther, and then I use the effects of Panther and Kitt. Kitt to kick Nervall to the graveyard, so I can grab a Tri-Brigade monster with Nervall's effect, and Panther to add a Gladiator Beast card from my deck to my hand, getting a copy of Comeback. Kerass's effect, I special summon it by discarding the Equeste, and then I can use the Comeback to special summon the Equeste. I then use Kerass's effect to summon Simorgh. Just be careful, because if you use Kerass's effect to summon Simorgh before you use Comeback on the Equeste, you won't actually be able to use the Comeback on the Equeste in the grave, because it shares a type with the Simorgh on the field, since they're both winged beasts. And Comeback can only special summon monsters of a different type than the monsters you currently control. So I'm able to spam the Tamer Editor here, and actually manage to summon Heraklinos the second time, and then the Barrier Statue in the end phase. I have no idea what my opponent is playing or doing, but he tries to attack with Dancing Fairy, and I redirect the attack with Domitianus. He actually Raigekis in the second main phase, but fortunately I have the Heraklinos on the field. So he concedes as soon as I activate Heraklinos' effect to negate the activation of Raigeki. This hand's pretty good again. You can extend with the Unexpected Dai as well as the Rescue Cat. So I do activate Unexpected Dai, normal summon the cat, and then use the effect of cat to summon Samnite and Kitt from my deck. In this instance, I'd actually prefer the Andal be sent to the graveyard rather than the Samnite, so I use the Andal in the Link Summon. I grab Augustus from my deck with Panther's effect, and now I can use the Panther's effect to send the Samnite back to the deck, where it's still keeping Rescue Cat alive for the Test Panther play. And I'm able to summon Augustus. Augustus's effect special summons another Augustus from my hand so that I can fusion summon Tamer Editor, and then use its effect to summon Domitianus. I'm then able to link summon the Simorgh in the extra monster zone, thanks to the fact that Bestiari is a winged beast, and my opponent concedes as soon as his turn starts, realizing he can't special summon anything except wind monsters, and he can't attack over the barrier statue while Domitianus is on the field. This is another good hand because it has a Rescue Cat or Rescue Rabbit backed up by Call by the Grave. So I use the Cat's effect to get Kitt and Samnite, link summon for Test Panther, and then Kitt's effect and Panther's effect activates, Kitt sending Nervall to the grave, and Test Panther grabbing a Gladiator Beast card from my deck to add to my hand. I get a second comeback with Panther, and I'll use Nervall's effect to get Kerass, as I so often do. Kerass can discard Andal to special summon itself, and then Andal comes right back with comeback. So it's like the discard was hardly a cost, because had I not discarded the Andal, I would have had to special summon it from my hand with comeback. Using the standard Gladiator Beast combos here to summon Tamer Editor. Editor's effect, special summon Domitianus. If you are a little rusty on the Gladiator Beast combos, again, I encourage you to watch my pure Gladiator Beast deck video, which at this point I believe I posted about a month ago. I then link summon Appaloosa. I'm able to summon Heraklinos with Tamer Editor's effect the second time, and then special summon the barrier statue with the effect of Simorgh. My opponent tries to Raigeki my field, but that's what the Heraklinos on the field with one card in my hand is for negating. It's for the Raigeki. I've gotten blown out by Raigeki so many times. If I can summon Domitianus plus Heraklinos with a card in my hand, I do. In this last duel, my opponent is playing Madolches. He uses Angeli's effect, which I try to stop with Ash Blossom, but my opponent uses Called by the Grave to banish the Ash Blossom and stop its effect. Madolches are not particularly popular, but they have some really cool moves. They can swarm the field pretty easily, grab cards from the deck pretty easily as well. Nothing in my hand can stop anything else my opponent does on this turn, so it's really just free game for him. Fortunately, I do have a pretty good retaliation hand with Rescue Cat in it. So he builds his field. He link summons Madolche Fresh Sistart, which is actually a really strong card, which makes it so I can't target or destroy his spell and trap cards. But I press on, I use the effect of the Rescue Cat, and this deck is strong at dismantling large fields. Partially due to the effect of Gyzarus, which can target and destroy 2 cards, and partially because of the power of Shureg, which can just bash a card on the field without targeting. to hit the cards that are otherwise immune to so many effects. He uses the effect of Medolce Promenade. Promenade? I think it's Promenade. But either way, he negates the effect of Kerass. I use Call by the Grave to stop him from getting one of his Medolce cards back to his hand. But he is unable to stop me from using Tamer Editor. Summoning Tamer Editor, I use it to summon Gyzarus and destroy 2 of his cards. He gets to use the ticket to add a card to his hand. Salon gets another Promenade face down onto his field. He replaces with 2 monsters. It seems almost insurmountable, but Shureg's going to come in, get rid of the Link monster, and then don't forget, Gladiator Beast are still a combat-oriented theme. So summoning Gyzarus and attacking with it, and then being able to tag out for 2 monsters is still incredible. So this is the current state of the game with just Gyzarus and Shureg on my field. I'm able to then tag out the Gyzarus for Augustus and Equeste, use the comeback to special summon Tamer Editor, and now use Tamer Editor to summon Gyzarus to destroy 2 cards. Then I can fuse my 3 Gladiator Beasts that can be used in Infusion Summon, not Tamer Editor, for Andabata, use it to summon Gyzarus, destroy 2 more cards. And then, since I only use 1 copy of Tamer Editor, I can't summon a second Tamer Editor, but I can summon Simorgh, Bird of Sovereignty, and special summon the Barrier statue from my deck, so that he needs to attack it before he can special summon, effectively making it so that his turn is pretty much just a main phase 2. Once again, in the end phase, I'm allowed to summon a Winged Beast from my deck because Simorgh is on the field. So during his turn, I summon Gladiator Beast Augustus, and my opponent, there is no way he's able to survive this. I summon Rescue Rabbit next turn, Link summon Test Panther, and I'm pretty much free to go with my combos once more, but with only 6,900 life points left, I really don't need to do too much to end the duel. So even against a seemingly endless supply of cards, the Gladiator Beast portion of the deck is really good at tearing them down, particularly with Gladiator Beast Gyzarus, while the Tri-Brigade portion of the deck is good at dismantling one key component that's holding your opponent's field together, because Shureg is able to deal with just about anything by banishing a card without targeting it. So that's my Forest Friends Gladiator Beast Tri-Brigade deck. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions about the deck, or any comments on the video, just let me know in the comments section, and I'll do my best to respond to as many as possible. Thanks for watching.